You know, talking about budgets and spending and plans leads us into this election year and the governor's fight to keep his job. Governor Snyder launched his campaign with an ad during the Super Bowl on Sunday. His opponent and thought to be Democratic nominee Mark Schauer also has an ad running. Now, both got technical fouls called on them by the Center for Michigan's Truth Squad, and they're a nonpartisan group that examines political ads. And before we get to what the Truth Squad said about these two ads, I first want to ask both of you what your impressions were of both ads that are running. Let's start first with the governor's ad that while you were like eating your chips and dip on Sunday night, watching the game, up popped the ad.
Up popped the governor out of a swimming pool.
Out of the swimming pool with snorkel gear on. Now that got the most attention, I think.
I sort of got used to the nerd. This comeback kid, it made me think of Gene Wilder and Blazing Saddles. I mean, I don't know what the heck that's all about. He's always been on top. What's he coming back from?
Yeah.
You know, maybe the turnaround kid or something. But the nerd worked. So why change a winning formula? And it is possible, as you know, I said in a blog, to be too nerdy. And I think that popping out of a swimming pool and snorkeling gear might have been a little too nerdy. I didn't like the ad. I think they're going to have to go back and reshape it. I don't know that it had the same impact as his original Super Bowl ad did.
I think the deep thought was that Michigan had been underwater and that he isn't that what it is? Is that a stretch?
That went way over my head. If that was the
did you miss it?
You're going to make a bunch of drunk football fans think that deep.
They're like, where are the Clydesdales?
No,
okay.
It was. I
so
think
let
it was
me let me ask you, what did you think of the tone of it? Did it strike the right tone, do you think, for what he needs to do this year, or no?
Well, substantively, he's talking about the things that he can, talk about and say to voters, here's what I did. But the context of the ad was the problem. Again, the nerd, and this one tough nerd, is probably the single most identifiable political brand in the Midwest, not just in Michigan. It is an incredibly powerful marketing tool, partially because it's self-deprecating. I mean, it's a guy saying, look, I am a nerd, and look what nerds can do for you. The comeback kid, the last politician really to adopt that was Bill Clinton. And think of all the trouble that Bill Clinton was in when he was doing that.
Now, there's a comeback.
That's
not
your thinker.
And they had him all dolled up in a tie and a suit, and he's walking very purposefully around. It didn't speak Rick Snyder to me. I mean, it was, here's just kind of an aw shucks guy, and it didn't speak that to me.
It was too slick for you then.
It was too something.
Okay, all right. Well, so let's talk about Mark Schauer's ad that's out there right now that has been running. Stephen?
It's not any better. Here's a guy whose biggest problem is, I think, identity in front of the voters. He's got to be somebody that they know what he stands for. He spends a lot of time in the ad talking about what Rick Snyder has done, and he's not at that point yet.
So it needed to be an image ad. It needed to be a, this is me, this is my family, this is what I've done, this is who I am.
And a much stronger image than that ad portrays. I mean, when you don't have any identity in front of the voters, you do have to come out with something pretty bold. Again, think back 4 years ago when Rick Snyder was the unknown. How did he introduce himself on Super Bowl Sunday as the nerd? I mean, nobody was going to forget that image or that ad. Schauer's ad was much more forgettable in terms of both the image and the substance.
I like how I always look at you when Stephen's talking, you're just kind of shake your head slowly and
plus,
sadly.
There wasn't a shred of truth in it. I mean, that's the other issue with this ad. If you're just going to make stuff up, you can make one heck of a political ad.
Well, I mean, they both were making stuff up in the ads.
What was untrue about what Snyder said?
All right, hang on. Well, let's
job gains that he claims
jump
are
into
not
that.
his.
Let's jump into that because the Center for Michigan, a nonpartisan group who we're also partners with, and they also have a great online publication at bridgemichigan.com.
Yes.
And you can find it on our website as well. Well, they have something called the Truth Squad, and during the election years, they take a look at all the ads, and then they assign, I guess, fouls and warnings due to what has been in the message. And they gave both of these ads technical fouls.
Right.
And what do you think that they picked up on, Stephen,
well,
on the governor's ad?
On the governor's ad, I mean, for starters, it's the job claims that he's making. There's a contextual problem there in that most of the recovery, the job recovery in Michigan over the last 4 years has been auto industry related and manufacturing related. He's had some policy effect there, but not really. That's really about the national auto recovery and what the federal government did for the Detroit 3. The other thing is the job gains. I mean, yeah, we've grown 225,000 jobs, but there's 500,000 other jobs we were supposed to grow over that time that we didn't. We also slipped down. We are 47th now instead of 46th on the unemployment rate. It's not that we're not doing better. It's not that he hasn't done things that made a lot of sense in terms of moving us forward. It's a question of how effective those things were and how effective other things might have been to move us forward quicker.
Technical foul, Nolan?
No, I think the center whiffed on this one. I think they were so determined to come up with, this one's bad and this one's bad, and be, appear to be even-handed, that they just completely ignored the lack of veracity in the Schauer ad, and they overstated any distortions that were in the Snyder ad. You can't dismiss the auto industry comeback as not being part of the state recovery that Snyder has overseen. I mean,
what did he have to do with the auto recovery?
Those auto jobs could have gone anywhere. If this state had been going in the same direction it had been going in, it would have been easy for these auto companies to say, and they've said it, we can take these jobs elsewhere. The economy has grown under his watch. Any politician's going to take credit for that. And we have grown jobs in Michigan after a decade of not growing jobs, even while the country was. Education spending, both the news and the free press have said education spending has gone up, and yet the center still.
Spending.
But it's the detail of that.
Well, if somebody pays your mortgage for you, your paycheck might not be any fatter, but you're better off.
We had a great piece.
Overall, education spending has gone up, and that's what the governor said.
We had a great piece in Sunday's paper that broke this down by Paul Egan that showed how spending on pensions helps you long term, but doesn't make a difference in the classrooms today. And that's what the Democrats are saying. That's
No, the Democrats are saying he cut education spending. And the governor said, I increased education spending.
Cut the foundation
and if you look
grant.
at he
did cut the foundation.
The ads don't deal with that. The ads say he cut education spending, and he didn't. He says he grew education spending.
And they got dinged for that,
he did.
by the way.
I mean, you've got to take care of these long-term issues.
No question.
It's a responsible thing. Overall, we're spending more on education today than when he took office, and that's all he says.
But we're not seeing it in this.
All right. Well,
you're going to see long-term healthier schools.
Long-term, you will see that, but
and somebody's got to start thinking in the state long-term.
I think both ways.
I am so glad it's an election year. I just cannot wait for the rest of the year to go on. If you want to see more about the Truth Squad, go to our website at MiWeek.org. We'll have a link for you there.